Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. All over the earth there is a time when the days are shorter and the nights are longer, when there is more dark. And almost every spiritual tradition uses this time for a celebration. And in almost every one of them, the celebration involves bringing lights of some sort, lighting candles, lighting lights, decorating with lights, in the middle of this darkness. It's an optimistic outlook and a perfect way to treat a time that can be dark and unsettling by purposefully bringing light. It's a good exercise for us. Here is my recently acquired light that I will offer to you. And oddly enough, it's from ZaZen, the Buddhist practice of Japan. I was watching a movie recently called Zen about the life of Master Dogen. Master Dogen was a Japanese monk, and he traveled to China in search for his true master. And he found a true master in China who taught him what he wanted, the original essence of Buddhism. And what he learned about the original essence of Buddhism was do the practices, study the teachings. Now, he had learned all of the dogma of the prevailing schools of Buddhism in Japan at the time. He was a good little monk, and he knew how to perform all of the traditional rituals of Buddhism at the time. But he hadn't encountered this simple, radical idea of the practices and the teachings. His master taught him the practices and the teachings. But it was the monk who worked in the kitchen who unlocked this great secret for him, who told him that he didn't know these two things, and who taught him the practical and simple essence of their truth. Master Dogen learned these, and he attained a very high state. He attained enlightenment with his master in China. And then he returned to Japan because he wanted to found temples and religious schools where he could establish this true Buddhism, as he called it in Japan. And that was ZaZen. Let me tell you what I understood to be the essence of his ZaZen by relating one incident that happened in his life. He successfully founded this temple, and there were many students and monks, men and women, monks and nuns, who would practice with him. And one was a woman who had been a sex worker, but her husband was sort of her pimp, and she didn't value herself, which may or may not be related to sex work. I make no judgments. But she was in a place where the sex work she was doing was part of her dishonoring herself, her allowing her husband to sell her so they could have money when it was not her choice. But she had come from poverty and didn't really know any other choice. So with both a poverty background and with the sex work being kind of her only option in life at that point, she was not feeling that she was of value. When she met Master Dogen, that changed. Over the course of their interactions, she saw him treat her with the innate respect that a human life deserves. And so she learned to respect herself enough that it broke her out of this set rut of mental thinking that had become her life. And she went to study with him. And when she started, she learned the practice. And the practice is meditation. So she sat for meditation, And as meditation does, meditation is a fire. They think it is, you empty your mind, there's nothingness. You think meditation is swimming in bliss. Meditation is a fire, and it burns away the veil of illusion, but it burns away also everything that makes that veil. And what that is it burns away everything you don't need, that is not true to who you are at the deepest level, not who you think you are, not the identity of you, the social identity, the world identity. It's the essence of you, the bright light that is the soul of the universe, that is your own soul. Meditation burns away everything that veils your ability to see and know that that is really you. And in that burning, stuff comes up. Emotions, feelings, experiences. You see yourself. You witness yourself. And when you're beginning, oftentimes that can be very hard. And for her, it was very hard. She did not like the things she saw. And it redoubled this experience she had had that she was worthless. And she was throwing a fit and crying and screaming. And Master Dogen came in and said, "What is wrong? What is going on?" And she said, "You lied. You lied to me. You said the Buddha lives inside of me. You said the self is inside of me. I'm terrible. There is no Buddha in me. All I see is all of my terrible behaviors." And Master Dogen said, "I did not lie. The Buddha is inside you." Meditation is how we see it. But when you start, you don't see it. You can't see it immediately. There's all this crap in the way about who we think we are and what we think we've been through defining us. And that is why we sit and we sit and sit and we sit and we sit. If you want to harden the clay into a pot, you build that fire and you keep tossing in wood and you maintain hot fire while the clay cures and hardens. If you want heat, if you want a steam engine to run, you pile on the coal. If you want heat in a building, you keep the wood on the fire. You get these things, you get these benefits of fire by maintaining fire. Meditation is the same. You sit, you just sit, and you choose your point of focus. And you do it again and again and again, not expecting results. And this was Master Dogen's genius, and the genius of ZaZen, and the genius of non-attachment, which is found in Sufism and in Hinduism, yoga, Buddhism. Do not sit to become enlightened. Just sit. Do not sit with the goal of, now I will meditate. Just sit. This is the essence of ZaZen. Things as they are. Simple. There's another story from Master Dogen's life. His benefactor, who was a great magistrate, donated the lands for this temple where the monks could practice. He comes to Master Dogen one day, and he's very distraught. And Master Dogen says, "I see you're distraught. I know you're going to ask me to help you. Please ask. You have earned anything I can give." And the magistrate says, "It's the shogun." In Japan, the shogun was the guy who ran the country. There was the emperor, and then this guy with the real political power. Sort of like, oh, I don't know, Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell. I don't know, something like that. The shogun was a young man who had been in a horrible war against a clan that had been a friendly, allied clan with his clan. So he had to go to war against people he knew and loved and had to kill them. And he was freaking out. Their ghosts haunted him. His mind was a wreck. And Master Dogen said, I will go, not to cure a shogun, but to witness a mind howling in agony. So he went to the shogun. And the shogun was skeptical about this true Buddhism. He's like, well, what do you do? What have you learned? Like, what is this? Do I have to make a certain number of incense offerings to the temple? Do I ring enough bells? Like, what's the deal? And Master Dogen cut right to the chase. And he said, look, you are tormented because you feel anger and guilt and sorrow. You've been through some horrible things. You've had to do horrible things. Your mind is distraught. These things come to you. You're in this situation where you have to do these things because you have power. You're in this position of power. You've had ambition, and you've attained the goal of your ambition. And what comes with that goal are the things that make your mind completely distraught. You have created this situation in which your mind is distraught because it tries to hold power in one hand and it cannot hold on to peace with the other. They're incompatible. The shogun didn't believe him. And he said, you're telling me to give up power? What are you, a spy? Prove that you can show me something within myself. Show me the proof. You say the Buddha lives within me, the self lives within me. Prove it. Show me this. I don't really understand. Master Dogen brought him out to the garden, and he says, look at this beautiful full moon. Let us gaze at the full moon. And they gazed a while, and the shogun got agitated, and he was like, what is this? What is, what are these parlor tricks? What is this? And Master Dogen explained that the shogun would have to relinquish his attachment to power, relinquish his attachment to the affairs of state and the intricacies of politics and diplomacy. And in letting go of everything, he would experience the peace within him. And the shogun was like, that makes no sense whatsoever. That is silly. And Master Dogen pointed to a reflection of the full moon in a lily pond right nearby. He said, how is this self in me? Like, how is that possible? How can it possibly be a constant? Look at the state of my mind now. The world is always agitated. And I am more powerful. I'm the shogun. I'm more powerful than anything. I can determine what the effect the world will have on me. And so Master Dogen says, okay, then take your sword and cut down that moon there in the lily pond. And the shogun went over, and with his sword, he swiped the water, and the moon's reflection disappeared into 1,000 glittering pieces. And he said, there, I've done it. And Master Dogen says, please, look again. And as the shogun looked, the water settled, and the moon's image reformed. This was Master Dogen's way of explaining that the self within, the Buddha within, is constant despite the agitation of the world, and that you find it within rather than through outward expressions and manipulations of the world. The shogun, he was perplexed by this. And Master Dogen said, you are incapable. You cannot find peace because you will not find peace. And the shogun said, I have never been so insulted in my life. And he was in a great rage, and he raised his sword, and he said, prepare to die. Are you prepared to die? And Master Dogen said, the minute I left my temple to come here, I prepared myself to die. I am always prepared to leave this body. And with that, he sat for meditation. And the shogun raised his sword, and he was ready to chop off Master Dogen's head. But there's something about being in the presence of a true master, one who has gotten there. They exude this transformative presence an energy, personality. There's something being in their presence that is transformative and broadcasts it, and it goes right into you and affects your deepest levels. And the shogun was affected by the Master Dogen's presence. And something finally changed in him. And he threw his sword away, and he sat down next to Master Dogen. And from that point on, he sat, and he sat, and he sat, until he could glimpse the Buddha within, the self within. When Master Dogen parted from the shogun offered to build him a huge temple. He was like, I believe in your mission of establishing the true Buddhism here in Japan. You are the sole proponent of this. Let me build you a grand temple with acres of land and buildings for this great new endeavor. And Master Shogun said with gratitude, my temple is in the mountains, and it is small, and that is where I study. And as he left, the shogun repeated to him the first thing that Master Dogen had tried to teach him by repeating this phrase, this short sort of poem. Flowers in April, the cuckoos in summer, the moon in autumn, chilly snows in winter. The emperor at first, when he did not understand, responded by saying, well, these things are ordinary. These things are common to each season. And Master Dogen had said, yes, things as they are. And this, too, is the essence of ZaZen. As another aphorism puts it, Zen is not thinking about God while peeling potatoes. Zen is not thinking about nothing while peeling potatoes. Zen is peeling potatoes. Ram Dass also puts it this way, be here now. When I first started meditation, when I first started practicing yoga and meditation and studying Hindu philosophy, I had come from a lifetime of atheism and skepticism, for which I'm grateful, because it led me to a path to debunk bullshit and to find truth. I wanted to know what was really going on. Who really shot JFK? What really went down? Okay, are there fucking space aliens, or is this like just this weird thing? Are there ghosts? I wanted to know what is the deal with the Catholic Church running everything? What is the real deal about what they teach? What is the real deal about the Christian God? I wanted to know. And it led me first through atheism, and then through a period where I said, something's going on, I don't know what it is, but something's up, which was an openness in my mind. And then I started learning the practices and the teachings. And it was the practices that brought me to understand and to experience that something else was indeed going on, and that something was not out there, it was something that was going on when I sit, and I sit, and when I sit. And when I don't sit, I lose touch with it, and I am sucked back into the drama, the rajas of the world. So like gardening, I have to clip the weeds and fertilize and water by sitting. In those early days when I was skeptical and, had all the attitude from punk, I could not say the word God. Certainly not without scorn, but it's just not a word that fit in my mouth. It was everything I didn't believe. It was that kind of blind delusion of someone who adheres to dogma for the sake of being able to say, I'm right and you're not. I'm gonna ridicule you, discredit you, take away your rights, kill you, because you are not right, I'm right. That's what the word God meant to me, those people. As I came to understand yogic philosophy, I understood that to me now, God was not a guy on a throne on a cloud. God was things as they are. Here in Los Angeles, flowers in spring, heat in summer, fires in the fall, rain in winter. Things as they are. When you're quiet, and then you look at things as they are, you can see how amazing they are. And it is divine, not because it is suddenly magic, but because it is exactly as it is, and in quiet clarity that is divine, that is amazing. Don't you hear scientists say it all the time, particularly biologists and zoologists? They're amazed at the wonder of nature, the diversity, the miraculous ways in which nature works. That video online when they introduced wolves back into Yellowstone, and the wolves started to thin the population of deer and scared the deer out of eating in the open fields. So the open fields started to grow trees and flowers that they hadn't, and that brought back rabbits and weasels and birds and insects and beavers dammed the rivers. And those damming of the rivers caused pools to form along the sides of the rivers, so different fish and more water life and birds, water birds came back to the park. But not only that, the banks of the rivers settled and normalized because trees could grow on the banks now that the deers weren't eating the shoots all the time, and that held the banks where they were. So wolves, merely by existing, wolves changed how the rivers behaved through this, that, and the other intricacies of the natural system. It's not magic, but it's miraculous. So that which is God is that which is things as they are. That is my understanding of ZaZen. You sit and you sit and you sit so that your vision and your mind clears, so that you can finally see the Buddha within you, that the Buddha is in you. The self of the universe is your own self. And when your vision is clearing, this process happens, things outside start to become more visible and clearer. And that's where this vision of simply seeing things as they are occurs. What does this mean for you? Try it. Experiment. Sit for meditation again and again and again. You don't have to sit for long if you can't. 3 minutes. I sat for 3 minutes once a day, and that was my meditation. And my mind raced, but I felt refreshed afterwards. And over time, I experienced transformation. That refreshment started to turn into clear vision. And I started to see myself, calm myself, and be able to handle myself and my affairs with more clarity and strength. 3 minutes a day. Every day, every other day, once a week. You'll know your own schedule. But it's the consistency over time that reaps, that brings the benefits of clear vision and seeing things as they are. You'll want a point of focus, whether it's your breath coming in or your breath going out. Whether it's a mantra, like Soham, which means I am in Sanskrit, So on the in-breath, Hum on the out-breath. Just repeat it silently to yourself. So hum, so hum. Breathing at your own rhythm. Or whether you see nature, pick a scene from nature and focus on that the whole time you're sitting. Or a word. When I was taught meditation in high school by a visiting speaker, he said, pick a word, one word, and focus on that. And I chose the word one, which is ironic because I grew up to become Sister Unity. That's kind of funny. Pick a point of focus and sit. And you can put your hands gently on your lap, just like this, or like this, as the Zen monks do. Or you can close your pointer finger and your thumb and just rest your hands on your knees. It's all supposed to just get your hands calm and out of the way, but also they say it creates a circuit of energy in your body. Sit upright, straight upright. It's easier for the energy to flow, for the breath to flow in and out. And make sure you sit comfortably. Put a pillow under your ass, under the back edge of your ass, so that your posture, your pelvis tilts this way and your posture is up. And close your eyes gently. Or, as the ZaZen monks did, focus on a point somewhere about out here, about 4 feet away from you. Not up in the middle at eye level, not down on the floor, but somewhere in mid-range. And sit. Let me know, either in the comments here or Facebook comments or wherever you like. Let me know what happens with your experimentation of these techniques.